Welcome back to Turf Talk, Odds on Buzz edition. Vance, Preakness Week is here. A couple different discussion topics going on the blog. One, buzz or lack thereof with an undefeated Derby winner, and a piece you wrote about odds on Derby winners going into the Preakness. We'll touch on the first thing first. I have noticed a lack of buzz relative to the success of Nyquist. American Pharoah hangover maybe. John Scheinman wrote a piece on our blog talking about how Pimlico opened later than usual. I think it's a mix of the two, but I definitely think this is an off year in terms of excitement.
I agree with that. American Pharoah was a juvenile champion last year, just like Nyquist was. Nyquist wins the Kentucky Derby undefeated, but yet we're not hearing that buzz going into Baltimore. And obviously, I think a lot of it has to do with American Pharoah breaking the 37-year streak of Triple Crown, the Triple Crown drought. You know, the national media always concentrated, is this the horse that's going to break this drought? We're 1 year removed from American Pharoah breaking that drought, and there just doesn't seem to be that kind of buzz among the national media or the public at large.
Yeah, I agree, and it's too bad because this horse is incredible. I mean, to be undefeated champion. One other thing I'll throw into the mix that I haven't seen mentioned too much, we saw it a little bit before the Derby in terms of the strength of the field, but last year when American Pharoah won, it was ballyhooed is this the best Derby field since 97, since 89, and on and on. We definitely did not get that this year, and while maybe this year's group doesn't have a Dortmund, Firing Line Frosted, etc., I do think Exaggerator is a very good horse, potentially a great one down the road. I do think some other horses fired their best shot. Nyquist is just that much better. To me, it is too bad there's no buzz, but I think John and Action Andy were onto something too with Pimlico opening later. It just sort of feels like, oh, now it's Pimlico. Normally we have a few week build up and you just kind of ease into, hey, there's racing in Baltimore, there's more excitement.
Yeah, by this time, normally Pimlico would have been running 6 weeks and they would have already generated a lot of enthusiasm in their community. Now it's just kind of coming up really all of a sudden,
right.
1 week after opening. Getting back, I mentioned to you earlier today that, American Pharoah was trained by Bob Baffert, who was a very long-standing veteran of these Triple Crown quests in years past, and not that Doug O'Neill has less charisma or personality than Bob Baffert, but maybe Bob Baffert was a major selling point last year with American Pharoah, not so much Doug O'Neill this year with Nyquist. It's a possibility.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great the horse went early. That was a plus. Knowing Mike Gaffigan as well as I did, he talked about that 2012 year and how great it was. But again, a lot of the even local media probably, well, we saw the Triple Crown winner last year, we can catch this one up later in the week, what have you. Another wrinkle more about the full cards at Pimlico. Another thing you and I talked about though, the stakes laden races. Pimlico Special used to be the week before, kind of sandwiched, but not kind of, it was sandwiched between the Derby and Preakness. And Action Andy mentioned to John how that big race sort of in the middle introduced connections to local media, whereas now they have to wait till everyone gets there on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's part of it too. I understand the move to the big days. It's clearly worked at a lot of places. I do wonder though if Pimlico is the right place for it, just because of the way horses are trained now. If you're running at Churchill and or Belmont, those same horses, with very rare exception, are not running at Pimlico Preakness weekend.
Yeah, and a lot of this has to do with purse money. Churchill and Belmont can afford to throw these big pots at these major purses. Pimlico's purses are a lot less. They're less attractive. They don't have the grade quality standard races. I've always kind of argued that, instead of trying to keep up with the Joneses in Louisville and New York, Pimlico should probably just kind of cut down on their stakes options on the weekend, concentrate on their historical races like the Black-Eyed Susan, the Preakness, the Gallarette, the Dixie, kind of make those really major races. And a lot of the times you hear local horsemen around the country say, hey, we don't like these this amount of purse money going to out-of-towners shipping
right.
in. Make for Friday and Saturday of Preakness weekend, at least concentrate half of those cards maybe on the local horsemen. Run lots of overnight races, maiden allowances, incorporate the local racing community into these two big days. You'd still generate a lot of handle on these kind of races,
right.
I imagine, and you wouldn't face the prospect of some of these stakes races coming up lower in quality compared to some of the competition in other states.
Yeah, well, speaking of locals, we will get to see Ben's Cat on Friday, so certainly a local regional hero in that regard, and always fun for me to try to bet against him because he's such a fan favorite, but he's had the measure of me the last few years, but a big name on Friday for sure. And of course, the biggest name on Saturday will be Nyquist, and you had a great piece looking at some of the odds-on losers at Pimlico. It's pretty rare still for an undefeated Derby winner to lose. It's only happened once, and under extraordinary circumstances, really history is on Nyquist's side.
Absolutely. There's only been 5 horses to win the Kentucky Derby and then lose it as an odds-on favorite at Pimlico in the last 50 years. Barbaro, obviously, no one could have foreseen that tragic incident.
Right.
Throw him away out, and you have Riva Ridge, Swale, Fusaichi, Pegasus, and Orb as the only ones to go down for various reasons that I addressed in my blog today on twinspires.com.
Yep, we'll put a link below. What do you think Nyquist is on Saturday?
He'll be odds on, but I don't think he's going to be really too low. I would say 4 to 5 would probably be a good price on him.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 to 5 for sure. Probably lean more toward 4 to 5. Although I never thought he was going to be 2 to 1 in the Derby. I mean, that legitimately surprised me. I was 100% wrong. There was no spin to it. It wasn't, oh, this horse took less money than I thought. I mean, he took the money. Maybe it'll be 3 to 5. People are believers, but yeah, I mean, odds on for sure, but certainly not Big Brown territory.
Yeah, I was completely wrong on the Kentucky Derby. Not only was I surprised at the 2 to 1 final price, but I was even surprised at the morning line odds. I think they were 3 to 1. I was expecting maybe 4 to 1, 9 to 2 when the morning line came out after the Wednesday draw. So I was completely wrong about that. I've been wrong pretty much the whole way about Nyquist right now, but he does look like a very special horse who's going to get the job done on Saturday, unless something strange happens, like a pace duel or sorts.
All right, well, we'll definitely talk about that later this week. We'll have James Scully in Baltimore, so check out his videos live from Pimlico, and I'll join Vance later in this week. We'll give some picks as well and analysis of the field. Until then, this has been Turf Talk.